Hello, soul family. Welcome to Spiritual Manifestation. If this is your first time, welcome. If not, I'm glad to have you home. Let's take a breath together because what I'm feeling right now is thick with mystery. There's something stirring beneath the surface, something that's been hidden from you for a long time. And here's the thing, you've felt it, not in your mind, but in your body. In your spirit, that quiet, persistent nudge that tells you something just doesn't add up. You haven't been told the truth. No one's come forward to explain. There's been no message, no sign, no proof in the physical. And yet, you've known. But it's been hard to trust that knowing because everything around you feels like fog. No clarity, no confirmation, just confusion, layered over more confusion. What I'm picking up is that there are hidden energies surrounding you, hidden emotions, hidden intentions. Someone has been keeping something from you, not out of malice, but out of fear. And Spirit wants you to know, you're not imagining this. Your intuition has been right the entire time. So let's pull a card together and start unveiling what's really going on here. I just pulled the High Priestess. And wow, that makes so much sense with what I'm feeling right now. Because this energy, it's all about you finally reconnecting with what you've known deep down all along. You're someone who's always had a powerful intuition, even if you didn't always know how strong it really was. And lately, it's like Spirit placed you in this quiet space for a reason. Maybe you've been spending more time alone. Maybe it wasn't even by choice. But either way, that stillness, it gave you space to feel again, to hear again, to remember what's always been inside you. There used to be so much noise around you, so many energies in your space that weren't really yours, people talking over your knowing, situations clouding your vision. And because of that, even though your intuition was still there, it felt quieter, weaker, not because it was gone, but because everything else was too loud. But now, you've taken that step back. You've distanced yourself, and in that space, your inner voice started getting louder again, clearer, more certain. And let's be honest, something's been bugging you. It's been on your mind nonstop. Not because of anything you saw or heard, but because your spirit won't let it go. You've been having dreams, signs, maybe even random waves of knowing that don't make logical sense, but they feel real. And that's because they are. You're not imagining it. That confusion you've been feeling, it's only there because there's been no proof in the physical. No one's told you anything, but your soul already knows the truth. And here's what Spirit wants you to really hear right now. This moment in your life, this foggy, unclear, frustrating moment, it's not just about what's hidden. It's about what's waking up inside of you. This is unlocking your gifts. This is sharpening your inner sight. It's not just about the situation. It's about learning how to trust yourself in the middle of the unknown. Because this is how your intuition speaks to you. Through signs, through dreams, through feelings that won't go away, no matter how much silence you're met with in the 3D. And maybe this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Maybe you've had moments before where you just knew something, even when no one else saw it. And maybe back then you doubted yourself. You pushed it aside. You waited for someone else to validate it. But not anymore. Not this time. Because what's shifting in you now? It's not just awareness, it's confidence. You're learning to trust your own knowing, even when the world stays silent. And that's power. Spirit is saying, this isn't confusion, it's activation. What feels unclear right now is actually clearing a path. It's forcing you to rely on what's within, not what's around. And yes, that can be uncomfortable. Yes, it can make you feel like you're walking blindfolded through fog. But this path, it's sacred. It's yours. And with every sign, every dream, every moment of, I don't know how I know, but I do, you're stepping deeper into alignment. You're not just sensing anymore. You're starting to see. And the truth is, this silence from the outside, it's not a punishment. It's preparation. Because Spirit doesn't want you to build your clarity on someone else's truth. You're being taught how to build it from your own. You're learning how to trust what your spirit tells you, even when your mind wants evidence. And that's going to carry you so much farther than any conversation or confirmation ever could. You're being guided. And even if you don't have all the answers yet, one thing is clear. You already know more than you think. So take note. What you're feeling right now, it matters, even without proof, even without clarity, because this isn't just teaching you to wait, it's teaching you how to listen. I just pulled the Lovers. And oh, divine feminine, this explains everything. Because what I'm picking up right now is that this isn't just about intuition anymore. This is about connection. A connection that goes beyond logic, beyond the physical. This is a soul bond, one that your spirit has already recognized, even if your mind still questions it sometimes. And yes, the 3D has made it hard to trust. Because what you're feeling in the spirit, it's so strong, so undeniable. And yet the physical world is showing you the opposite. Silence, distance, doubt. It's confusing. And that's not your fault. But here's the truth. This is all happening to wake up your gift. That inner knowing you've always had, it's being sharpened through this exact experience. Because you're not just imagining things, you're receiving. You're tapping into something sacred, something timeless. And even though this person hasn't said it out loud, even though they haven't confirmed a thing, you feel them. You dream of them. You sense when they're thinking about you. And that's not a coincidence. That's not fantasy. That's the bond speaking louder than words ever could. Spirit is showing me that you're being taught how to trust yourself in ways that most people never even dare to. You're learning how to hold a truth that no one's spoken, yet you already know it's real. And the reason it feels so wild, so impossible, so far-fetched, it's because the physical hasn't caught up to the spiritual yet. But your soul already sees the blueprint. You already feel the pull, the purpose, the protection. You know this isn't just some random situation. There's a contract here, a promise, one that was made far before this lifetime. And yes, there are obstacles, people around you, around them, who don't want to see this thrive. People who may not even understand this kind of love because it doesn't follow rules. It doesn't fit in a box. And that makes it threatening to those who only know control, not connection. But that's exactly why you've been chosen to feel this before it becomes real, to know it before it's revealed. You've been chosen to walk by intuition, not sight. And divine feminine, let's be honest, this hasn't been easy for you. To feel something this deep without any outward confirmation. It's lonely. It's disorienting. It can make you question your own sanity. But this is where your strength is rising. Because instead of running from the silence, you've leaned into it. Instead of demanding proof, you've asked for peace. And in that sacred in-between, you've grown. You've softened in the right places and strengthened in others. You're not waiting to be chosen. You're remembering you've always been chosen. There's something incredibly powerful about knowing the truth before it shows up in the physical. It means you're tuned into spirit in a way that can't be faked. And it also means you're carrying something many wouldn't understand, a promise that lives in the unseen. But even with all the uncertainty, you keep showing up in love. You keep opening your heart, even if it's trembling. That's courage. That's trust. That's divine alignment. Because deep down, you know this bond didn't come into your life to torment you. It came to awaken you. And maybe the 3D still looks impossible right now. Maybe this person is far away, silent, or even acting like nothing's there. But don't let that fool you. The energy is loud. The signs are everywhere. And spirit is saying, just because they haven't spoken doesn't mean they don't feel it too. Their soul is remembering you. Their heart is stirring. And this distance, it's not rejection, it's reflection, a necessary pause while everything rearranges behind the scenes. You're not being delayed, you're being prepared. So if it feels like it doesn't make sense, if it feels too good to be true, just remember, you weren't meant to make sense of this with your mind. You were meant to remember it with your soul. I just pulled the 3 of Swords, and the heaviness in this card, it lands right in the center of what you've been feeling. Because Divine Feminine, this isn't just distance, this is heartache. This is the kind of soul-deep pain that doesn't always come with an explanation. And what makes it harder is that so much of it is unspoken. There's this love, this connection, this pull between you and this person. And yet in the 3D, it feels like everything is working against it. Whether it's another person in the way, outside opinions, or just bad timing, there are blocks, there are walls, and no matter how much you both feel it, it just won't move forward. Not right now. And you're not crazy for how much this hurts. This separation isn't just a break in communication. It's a tearing apart of 2 souls that have known each other for lifetimes. Because that's what I'm feeling here. In other lives, you were inseparable, together through everything, and that's why the pain now runs so deep. Your soul remembers what your body can't explain. And even though your mind keeps saying, let it go, your spirit aches every time you feel the silence. There's also a lot of illusion swirling around this connection. A belief that it could never happen, that the obstacles are too big, that the pain is a sign it's not real. But here's the truth. Spirit is whispering. The pain isn't because it's false. The pain is because it's real, because this connection is sacred, and any separation from something sacred is going to hurt. And what's even more layered is that the feminine energy here, she's the one holding back, not because she doesn't feel it, but because the weight of this truth, it's terrifying, because if it's real, then so is the risk, so is the loss, so is the longing. And for some of you, you've been trying to convince yourself that you've moved on. You've tried distractions, routines, even silence, telling yourself you're done. But then something small happens. a dream, a number, a song, and suddenly the ache returns. That soft, aching space in your chest that no one else quite fills. And that's because you're not just missing a person, you're missing a part of yourself that felt safe when they were near. And that kind of soul ache doesn't go away just because time moves forward. It lingers. It waits. Because it's not finished. And here's what Spirit is showing me now. This pain you're feeling, it's not meant to break you. It's meant to open you. Not just to this person, but to yourself, to your capacity for love, to your willingness to believe in something unseen. This is not punishment, it's preparation. Because if you're going to hold a love this deep, this sacred, you have to become the version of you who can carry it with grace. And right now, your heart is being reshaped, not shattered, reshaped for something divine. Some of you are also sensing that your person is hurting too, that even in the silence, there's grief on the other end of this connection. And you're right, because the bond hasn't gone anywhere. It's just gone quiet. But even in that quiet, the energy is alive. They feel it too. They miss you too. But their silence, it's not always avoidance. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's shame. Sometimes it's not knowing how to bridge the gap between what they feel and what they've shown. But just because they haven't said it doesn't mean they're not walking through the fire of this too. And let's be honest, some of you feel like you've already missed your chance, like the door has closed, like too much time has passed. But your soul keeps pulling you back to this. Not because you're stuck, but because something inside you knows there's more to this story. That this pain has a purpose. That the reason you haven't let go yet is because this isn't just a memory. It's a message. A reminder that your heart still believes in something bigger than the 3D. I just pulled the 9 of Wands. And Divine Feminine, this card holds the truth of a heart that's been through a lot. Because the energy coming through right now, it's heavy with survival. This isn't someone who's never known love. This is someone who's only known love with conditions, with chaos, with pain. Someone whose heart is so layered in protection, it's almost like they've forgotten what it means to feel safe. And when something real finally shows up, when you show up, it doesn't bring peace at first. It brings panic. Because for a heart like this, love feels like danger. What I'm getting is that this person, likely the feminine energy in this connection, isn't cold. They're cautious. They're not unfeeling. They're overwhelmed. This is someone whose nervous system has learned to expect abandonment, to prepare for betrayal, to assume the worst, even when the best is right in front of them. So what do? They push it away. They tell themselves it's not real. They tell you they're not interested. But it's not truth. It's fear. And deep down, you can feel it. You feel the tension between what they say and what they radiate in your presence. And for the masculine energy here, if this is you, it's been heartbreaking. Because you've shown up soft, steady, safe. You've been warm when they expected cold. You've been gentle when they expected chaos. And that contrast, it's terrifying to someone who doesn't believe they deserve softness. It's almost like they've been waiting to be hurt, and your love keeps proving them wrong. And that's why they run. That's why they resist. Because deep down, they're wondering when you'll leave too. Spirit is saying their soul recognizes you, but their trauma doesn't know how to hold you. They've been conditioned to survive love, not receive it. And even though their emotions for you run deep, so deep it scares them, it's those same emotions that are triggering the deepest wounds. You're not the problem. Your love is the mirror. And this person, they're being asked to look at themselves in a way they've never done before. And that kind of awakening, it's beautiful, but it's also terrifying. And maybe that's what's been the hardest part for you, knowing how much love is here, feeling it in your bones, and still watching them keep their distance. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how carefully you reach out, they slip through. And even though your spirit understands their fear, your heart still aches for the connection you know is possible. You've seen glimpses of it in their eyes, felt it in their energy, but every time you get close, they retreat. And that hot, cold rhythm, it's exhausting. But Spirit wants you to know you didn't imagine the depth of this connection. You didn't make it up. And the more you try to make sense of their behavior through logic, the more lost you'll feel. Because this isn't logical, it's spiritual, it's ancestral, it's karmic. You were placed in their life not just to love them, but to show them what love really feels like. And whether they're ready to receive that now or not, the shift has already happened. Your presence cracked something open in them. And that opening, it can't be closed, not even by fear. So if they've been acting like they don't care, if they've lied about how they feel, if they've created distance, it's not because they don't love you. It's because they do. And that love is so big, so real, so safe, that it makes them feel exposed, like a wound being seen for the first time in light. And even though their instinct is to run, the truth is, they've never wanted anything more. I just pulled the Four of Cups. And Divine Feminine, this card is speaking to the very heart of the disconnect you've been feeling. Because what I'm seeing now is a deep emotional numbness, a kind of shutdown that happens when someone's heart has been through too much. This person, most likely the feminine energy in this connection, isn't rejecting you. They're rejecting what they don't know how to receive: peace, protection, consistency. You're offering them everything they never had. But because it doesn't match the chaos they've known, it feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliar doesn't feel safe. It feels threatening. It's wild, right? How someone can be surrounded by toxic energy for so long that they start to believe that's love, that the shouting, the walking on eggshells, the constant fight or flight somehow becomes their normal. And then when something real shows up, something quiet, stable, warm, it's like their nervous system can't compute. Instead of relaxing into it, they brace. Instead of leaning in, they pull away. Because love without pain, that's never been their story. Until now. And this masculine energy, whoever that is in your situation, has been patient, has been clear, has shown up, and still they've been met with silence, with distance, with a guardedness that doesn't make sense on the surface, but underneath, it's all trauma, it's all survival patterns. Spirit is showing me that this feminine isn't cold-hearted. She's scared, scared of healing, scared of being seen, scared of losing something she never believed she deserved in the first place. And that's why she hides. That's why she downplays her feelings. That's why she runs. This energy feels like someone who's been offered real love, and instead of reaching for it, they freeze. Not because they don't want it, but because receiving something safe feels so far from what they've known. And for some of you, this may have looked like them saying you were too much, or that they weren't ready, or that something felt off. But that wasn't the truth. The truth is, they didn't know how to let you in. Not yet. Not when their body still expects the worst. Not when love still feels like a trap. And here's the hardest part, divine feminine. When someone pushes you away, it's easy to start shrinking, to start wondering if maybe you were too open, too honest, too willing. But I need you to hear this. You weren't too much. You were exactly what they asked for in their prayers. The thing is, they didn't realize that the answer would come in the form of discomfort first. Because real love doesn't just soothe, it stretches. It brings up everything that isn't healed. And that's exactly what you did. You triggered awakening, and that's sacred. This moment right now, it's not about fixing them. It's not about convincing anyone to choose you. It's about recognizing your role as the mirror and the medicine. You didn't show up in their life to prove your worth. You showed up to remind them of their own. And while they may not be able to face that reflection yet, the seeds have already been planted. And Spirit is saying, trust the timing, trust the process. Because even when they pushed you away, your love left a mark that can't be erased. So if you felt rejected, if you felt overlooked, Spirit is saying, you were not the problem, you were the light. But sometimes, when someone's lived in the dark for too long, the light doesn't feel comforting. It feels blinding. And until they learn to sit in the stillness of what's healthy, of what's calm, of what's real, they'll keep reaching for what hurts, just because it's familiar. I just pulled the Chariot. And Divine Feminine, this card is your confirmation that everything is finally shifting. Because after all the running, all the confusion, all the hiding, there's a breakthrough, a decision, a moment where the heart finally speaks louder than the fear. What I'm seeing now is someone who's tired of holding it all in, tired of pretending they don't care, tired of acting like this connection didn't mean everything to them. This person, most likely the feminine energy who's been closed off for so long, is stepping out of the shadows. And not quietly either. This energy is bold. It's clear. It's unapologetic. They're coming forward. And this time, they're not turning back. This person has spent so much time pushing away the very thing they were praying for, rejecting love out of fear of being abandoned, sabotaging connection to protect themselves from disappointment. But something's changed. Spirit is showing me a deep inner shift, a healing that's taken root in their heart. They're no longer letting fear decide their future. And after missing this opportunity again and again, they've reached their limit. The silence has become unbearable. The pretending, exhausting. And now, they want to be seen, fully, honestly, finally. And here's what's so beautiful about this moment. It's not just about being with you. It's about being real with themselves. They've spent so long lying about how they feel, even to their own heart. But now they're reclaiming their voice, reclaiming their truth. and they're about to confirm everything you've known on an intuitive level. All those dreams, all those signs, all those moments you gaslit yourself because the 3D said otherwise. This is the moment it all lines up. This is when your knowing gets validated, not just in spirit, but in action. And the timing of this shift, it's divine. Because spirit didn't want this connection to come together half-formed. You weren't meant to build something sacred on top of fear, self-doubt, or avoidance. You were meant to meet each other in your strength, in your knowing, in your truth. And that's exactly what's happening now. This person has done the inner work. They've confronted the patterns that used to keep them distant. And they're finally ready to love out loud. Not just in energy, not just in dreams, but in the flesh, in the now. You're going to notice a boldness in them that you've never seen before. They're no longer afraid to be vulnerable. They're no longer tiptoeing around their feelings. They're ready to speak the words they once swallowed, to show up the way you always felt them, but never saw. And you, divine feminine, you'll feel this before they even say a word. Because the energy, it won't lie. It never has. This is the moment where everything you've held in your heart, quietly, patiently, starts to take form. And what makes this moment even more powerful is that you didn't chase it. You trusted. You surrendered. You listened to your intuition when the world told you to doubt. And now, the universe is aligning it all, not because you forced it, but because you became the version of you who was ready to receive it. This isn't just a reunion, it's a recognition of your growth, of your knowing, of your power. And the path forward, it's no longer blocked, it's wide open. And you both are finally ready to walk it together. This is someone who has remembered their power, someone who has finally said, enough, enough avoiding, enough silence, enough regret. They're choosing movement, they're choosing clarity, they're choosing you, and it's coming in fast, not as a maybe, not as a whisper, but as a declaration. You'll feel the shift. You'll see it, because this person isn't hiding anymore. They've outgrown their fear. They've healed what once kept them small. And now, they're moving towards you with intention, with strength, and with the kind of energy that doesn't doubt what it feels. Okay, this feels like a beautiful place to close the reading. If this message lit something up in you, be sure to hit that like button before you go. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss any of the magic we share here. You were right to trust your intuition. You were never imagining it. And everything that felt confusing before, it's finally finding its way to the surface. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.